This is part two in a series about one lady's encounter with a man she met calling himself Jefferson. I thought I could do this series in two parts. It's going to end up being a three-part series due to the length of her story and how many twists and turns this takes. While romance scammers often look for a quick buck, some of them actually weave some pretty detailed stories, and they involve other scammers to get this whole thing going. And in this case, this is what happened. This is part two of a three-part series, My Encounter with Jefferson. During this whole fiasco, I received a call from Victor regarding my fence material delivery. He said the delivery company was unable to find my address and that they had to drop off my fence materials at a location to hold, and I was advised to email the delivery company to find out where it's at and get redelivery. I was so frazzled by Jefferson that I waited a little over 2 days to respond to this issue with Victor and the shipping company, and I finally emailed the delivery company, which Victor had given me their address in chat. It was a Gmail address. A Mr. Murphy from Global Delivery and Lumber told me that my address wasn't found, and the delivery truck wasted gas trying to find my house. He asked for my phone number to contact me, and he said that the number that he had was not working. Well, I gave him my phone number, and Mr. Murphy called me right away from a Florida phone number. He started yelling and screaming at me that they can't find my house, and he asked if I was stupid for not giving the correct address, and while on the phone with me, he sent a text showing a photo that said the address is not found. I asked him kindly not to yell at me and to just confirm the address. And I confirmed the address with him, and the last two numbers of my house were reversed. It could be something I typed wrong when I was talking to Victor. He said that his driver drove around for hours and couldn't find the address, and they wasted $300 in fuel. He told me I would have to pay for the wasted fuel as he was told the address and I must have said it wrong and it was all my fault. He also told me that the fence material was being held and that he told me the same name of the town that it was 4 hours from where I lived. He demanded reimbursement for the fuel and needed it right now. I told him, look, I've got a lot going on, and I asked if he can just wait and hold the material for maybe another week and redeliver, and I'll pay the driver for the lost fuel, but Mr. Murphy told me no, that they are only holding the material for 12 hours, and it'll be sent back, and I would still owe Victor for the material delivery and the cost of the fuel. He said I still owe for the fuel, and it's $300. He said it can be paid with a prepaid gift card from Steam or Amazon. He told me if it wasn't paid right away, then Victor would be hearing about this. I told him, I don't know what a Steam card is, but I know what Amazon cards are. And during this time I was talking to Mr. Murphy, I received a call from Jefferson's number. I told Mr. Murphy I had to go, and he got mad, telling me I had 2 hours to get that Amazon gift card to pay the driver for his fuel, and I need to reconfirm when I'm going to pick up my materials. I told him I'll have to call you back, and I'll get an Amazon card. I switched over and picked up the phone call I was getting from Jefferson's number, and it was him. He sounded like he was whispering, and he said he was in Istanbul at an undisclosed hotel, but that he made it out thanks to me. He told me that my love got him through the difficult times, and he couldn't live without me. He knew that he wanted to be with me forever now. But Jefferson said he had an infection, that when he was captured in Iran, that they made him walk through a river with his boots on, and his foot got infected, and they wouldn't let him change his socks or dry his feet, and they kept him in a jail that was cold, wet, and dirty. He told me that he needs to have a doctor look at his foot, and that the army had turned their backs on him. They blamed him for getting captured because he didn't follow procedure, and that the two other soldiers were also saved, but their wives paid for their flight home, and he's stuck until I make the final payment. But now he said his foot is so bad, he doesn't even know if he can fly home. He told me that the Army is going to make him sign his final contract and he'll get his payment, but that they're going to discharge him from his duties due to messing up the mission and putting everyone's life at risk. He said during his mission he was thinking of me and being married to me and starting a life with me, and it messed up his head and he took the wrong road out on the mission. I told him it wasn't anyone's fault, but he said that the Army will not forgive him and they will not help him medically. He then texted me a picture of his foot and said it was all infected. He said he has a very high fever and felt very weak and tired. I asked him what hotel he's at, and he said he wasn't sure because he was feeling delirious from the infection and fever, but he needs medical help. I told him to ask the hotel staff to get him to a hospital or call an ambulance, but he said he can't. It's not safe, and I just need to make that last payment so he can go home. I told him I'm having issues with Victor's delivery of the fence material and explained to him what happened. He told me I really need to do as they tell me because Victor's a stand up man and we can't tarnish his reputation by not paying for that fuel. I told Jefferson I need to go to the store to get an Amazon gift card for them, and he told me to take care of it and he would just rest. He told me he loved me and also to make sure that I make that final payment. The situation was too much, and after I hung up with Jefferson, Mr. Murphy called me again, stating his driver has still not been reimbursed for the wasted fuel. He started yelling at me, asking what kind of woman I am to play such games. He said if I don't get the driver's fuel paid right away, I will regret it and they'll sue me in court for millions. I told Mr. Murphy I was going to the store now to get the Amazon card and please redeliver the materials as you have the right address. But he told me to get the card, scratch the front and back, and message it to him first. He gave me 1 hour to do so, so I went to Walmart and bought the Amazon gift card and gave it to him through a text. As soon as I sent the card, Jefferson called me again. He said he was feeling more sick and that the food delivery server in the hotel found him slumped over in a chair and insisted that they call the local doctor, so the hotel sent the doctor to his room. The doctor said he had a bad infection and he needs medicine, antibiotics, to help clear up the infection. I told him I was so glad that a doctor had seen him and he'll be okay. But Jefferson told me no. The doctor is wanting $500 for treatment and antibiotics to be administered, and that they waited too long. And now he needs an IV antibiotic, and the doctor needs to administer it. They need payment, though. He said he told the doctor to go get the medicine and he'd find a way to pay it. He told me that the doctor would return shortly, but he doesn't know how to pay it as he doesn't have access to his bank account until he gets home. He said the doctor was coming up the hallway and maybe I could talk to the doctor. I heard a knock on a door in Jefferson's room, and Jefferson weakly told the person, please come in. I could hear someone talking, but I really couldn't make out what was being said. It was muffled. But then Jefferson told me the doctor has the IV materials and antibiotic to administer, but he won't do it until he gets $500. He put the doctor on the phone and he said his name was Dr. Muhammad and that he is a doctor at the Istanbul International Care Center. He said Jefferson has a bad foot infection and an incision site that was caused by walking in a wet shoe and the prison. It's a special infection caused by prisons being dirty, and that this special antibiotic will cure it, but it had to be administered by IV. And he said it would be $500 and it must be paid right now. He said I could pay with an Amazon gift card or my credit card. What would I do? He refused to help without being paid. I asked him to put Jefferson on the phone, and the doctor said Jefferson has now passed out from the infection. I told the doctor to take him to a hospital, but he said no, as he is a foreigner without insurance, he would be refused. The antibiotics are the only thing that would save him. I then got a text with a picture of a bottle of medicine. The doctor told me to pay with an Amazon gift card, and I told him I'm not able to get another card, but he told me that Jefferson told him that I was right now in a store buying one to pay for a driver for fence material. He asked me if the fence material meant more than my husband's life. So I ended up buying another $500 Amazon gift card on my credit card while the doctor stayed on the phone with me. I gave him a picture of the front and back of the card through Jefferson's number, and he administered the antibiotics. He said Jefferson woke up and his fever is down, and now he's back to sleep as the medicine is very strong. I drove home after this whole ordeal, and Hardly got in the door when Mr. Murphy called again, demanding to know if I would get the material at its drop off point. Otherwise, I'd have to pay $1,000 for delivery of the fence material again. I told him now is not the time and please just call me tomorrow. I was very tired and I needed to deal with other things. My emotions were drained. He told me he would call me first thing in the morning. Jefferson then called me 15 minutes later or so after I spoke with Mr. Murphy, and by this time I was exhausted. Jefferson said he was doing better, but the final payment needs to be made so he can go home. Otherwise, he'll be rearrested, and there's a police officer blocking his hotel room and security forces, and they're waiting for the payment. This was too much to deal with. My phone would ring, then hang up, then another would call. I told Jefferson I'd transfer the money as soon as I can, but please, I just need to rest. I ended up going to sleep that night, but around 4 a.m., Mr. Murphy called demanding to know what I would do with the lumber and fencing material that the delivery company is storing in a yard somewhere, and they're charging them by the day for storage. I told Mr. Murphy just redeliver it since you have my correct address, but he told me again it's $1,000 handling fee to redeliver the material since it was my mistake. I have to pay it. I told him I don't have the money right now and I'm dealing with other issues and I was asleep and to call back later. Mr. Murphy told me it must be paid and he gave me 3 hours to make a choice. That if it's not paid, he'll never work with Victor again and that he will tarnish his reputation as Victor spoke highly of me. I told him give me some time. I'm exhausted and I hung up with Mr. Murphy. I was drifting back off to sleep when it felt like seconds before Jefferson called me again. He sounded a lot better and he asked what I was doing and where I've been. Apparently, he tried to call me in the middle of the night, but I was so tired I didn't hear the phone. Jefferson asked if I'd made the last payment. I told him I'm having problems, but I'll try. He told me that the officer guarding his room said he'll let Jefferson slip past security checkpoint and onto a private plane for only $2,000, and that he would escape the security and not have to worry about being arrested if I'm unable to fund the other payment. He told me that he could fly to meet me and everything would be okay. I asked him how can we do this, and Jefferson told me I would have to do a bank transfer of $2,000. He gave me the name of a man in Istanbul, and I've included it in my screenshots to you. As a side note, I confirmed it is an active bank account in this man's name, and several questionable fake profiles come up with this man's name online and in dating sites. Jefferson texted me a picture of the suitcase, and he said he felt strong enough that this security guy would get him out in the middle of the night, get him to the airport, board a private plane, and he would fly to me. I went ahead and made the bank transfer and showed Jefferson the transfer online that it had gone through. I was broke, and this is when Mr. Murphy called again demanding payment, followed by a text from Victor. Meanwhile, Jefferson told me he was getting ready and he would sneak out in the night. He told me he loved me very much and we would be in touch and he was safe in London. He would call me as soon as he got to London, but then the phone rang again. It was Murphy. He again wanted that $1,000 delivery fee, and I told him I'll get it today and just please stop calling and stop yelling. I ended up getting up out of my house and taking some jewelry to a local buyer in town. I sold some old family jewelry and I got around $800. I told Mr. Murphy and I sent him a picture of the $800 and said this is all I can pay. And I can get you the $200 next week after I get paid at work. Mr. Murphy said that was fine and to just buy Apple gift cards for 500, one for 200, and one for $100 and give it to him in text and he'll accept this as payment because it's easier for me. I did what he told me. Then I ended up going home and listing some lawn equipment and tools for sale on the marketplace. I was out of money, out of food in my house, and out of my mind. I was able to sell about $300 worth of yard equipment in one day, which helped me to pay for some food, which I was out of, and some things like paying the light bill in my home so my electricity wasn't shut off. I did spend for myself. I did need groceries, but I felt guilty. But I was spending so much on gift cards and payments for Jefferson, and he kept telling me he loved me very much, that we would be together soon, and he was leaving for London. He even took a picture of the inside of an airplane, and that I'd be hearing from him soon, and he was boarding a private plane, and he would be safe. He told me once this is over, he will buy our beautiful home that we talked about. Now, this is the home I already but neglected to mention I put earnest money on, and I told Jefferson this. He asked me who I paid, and I told him, well, it went to the building company and the realtor. He became mad, telling me that I should have consulted him first, as he knows someone who works with realtor companies, and I shouldn't spend money without asking my husband for permission. I was shocked by this behavior and said, we're not married yet. He told me it doesn't matter, and I'm his wife, and he will clear this all up once he gets to the States and make sure to pay for the home in cash. I told him I only put a down payment, like a deposit, to hold the land and the home building contract. As I said before, this is a new home building site and a new neighborhood being built, and we had to act fast or our opportunity would have been lost as most of the spots had already sold. Jefferson said he was sorry, but he's so stressed and he's unable to get his phone to work properly since the whole ordeal because he's out of cards. He begged me to get an iTunes gift card, and he said he didn't want to ask again, so he begged a strange man at the airport to buy him an iTunes card. He asked me if I was going to go to the store, if I could buy him a $500 iTunes card before he boarded this private plane. Just go now and get it, he demanded. I told him I have no more money, that I had to sell some items to pay for some food and basic needs, and that I still haven't gotten my fencing materials delivered. Jefferson told me not to worry, that he has his retirement check from the military and it's pending in his account, but he has to get back to the States to verify his account with his ID because the deposit was so large. He told me he'd pay for everything and pay me back all the money he borrowed from me and also buy our dream home and our land. But it'll be okay, he said. I believed him. He had a way to smooth things over. He said he was waiting to board his flight and he needed an iTunes card to keep talking, and then he hung up. He sent two texts asking if I was there and if I got his texts, as he wasn't sure it would go through. He's literally out of minutes. The text went through, and I went out and bought him an iTunes card and texted him, hoping that he got it in time before his flight. About 30 minutes later, he sent a picture of the inside of the airplane and said he was now leaving and thanked me for the card and that he would be in London before I knew it. This Mr. Murphy called after Jefferson hung up with me, demanding payment and is now a delivery tax for the fencing material. Jefferson hung up with me and left for his flight. Mr. Murphy was demanding payments, and now a delivery company was filing a tax fee for the fencing material. Well, I knew Jefferson would be home soon, so I told Mr. Murphy that my husband would be paying the charges as soon as he's home, and he's on his way from London. Jefferson was to fly into New York, go to his bank to fix his account, and then fly to me in Tennessee. He said he would let me know his flight information, and as soon as he landed in New York. Well, Mr. Murphy was unhappy with this. He told me that I needed to be paid right now, make the payment, and the materials are sitting in a shipping center and they're getting rained on and damaged. I told him, well, then I don't want damaged material and my husband will fix all this, and I hung up. I heard nothing from Jefferson for over 12 hours, but I knew the flight would be long and going through customs and immigration would be difficult too. The calls from Mr. Murphy, though, and then Victor started pouring in. I told both that Jefferson, my husband, would deal with the payment and stop harassing me. I felt like I was losing it. I called into work and took a personal leave, using up my PTO for mental health and feeling unwell. I was able to take 2 full weeks off work. I couldn't handle working, coming home, dealing with my property, my bills, and then dealing with all this fiasco. Finally, around 3 a.m., 2 days later, I received a call on WhatsApp from a number I didn't know. A man stating his name was Mark from the Federal Army Investigations Bureau asking if I was the wife of Jefferson. I told him yes and asked what this is about. He informed me that Jefferson was now a wanted man with an arrest warrant, and they wanted to know his location and if I was hiding him because he had left Istanbul, went to London, and then to New York and had stolen important financial documents from the army, and he now has a warrant to be arrested and tried in a military court. I told him no, I don't know where Jefferson is, and that he said he was finished with the military and flying to New York, but I knew nothing of his whereabouts. This Mark person told me I would be arrested if I didn't tell him where Jefferson was, and I yelled back, telling him I have no idea, and New York was all I knew. He told me he would be in touch, but if Jefferson were to show up at my house, I'm to call Mark right away so they can arrest him, and if I hide him, they'll arrest me too. I right away texted Jefferson, but he didn't respond, and I tried calling. Meanwhile, again, Mr. Murphy and Victor were calling over and over, more than 50 times each continuously. One would call while the other called, and finally I blocked both their numbers. It was just too much to handle right now. They followed up with emails demanding payment and pictures of rotting wood, which was supposed to be my fencing material, and that I ruined Victor's reputation, and Mr. Murphy was going to court to sue me. My Facebook started getting messages from a Victor profile and a Mr. Murphy demanding money. I blocked them both on Facebook, and then I got a friend request from Mark, the Army investigation guy. He messaged me telling me he was watching my home and sent a photo of my home, which I later found out came from Google Earth. He told me they had cameras set up watching my home as they have intelligence that Jefferson is there with me. Mark then called me on WhatsApp telling me that they believe Jefferson is on my property and has gone crazy and might try to harm me. I got so paranoid that I locked my doors, windows, and I kept all my shades shut. I didn't know who would show up or what would happen. All these people had my address. I tried calling Jefferson, but it just rang and rang. I left him messages about Mark and told him not to come here, but call me when you're home or where you're at. Let me know. I didn't sleep that night. Every noise had me spooked, thinking Jefferson or Mr. Murphy or Victor or Mark were lurking outside. Jefferson finally called me one night, maybe 3 or 4 days after this whole thing with Mark started. He was whispering, telling me he was hiding and that the army was trying to pin some false charges on him, that he only took his documents and his check that he was owed, but that the army is saying he has stolen checks and documents and money. He told me he is nearby in my city or a few cities over, hiding in abandoned buildings. I asked where the hell he is, and he sent me a photo of this old building. Well, come to find out, the picture he sent was of an old factory like 2 towns over from me. I told him, go to the police, let's fix this, but he said, Jefferson told me he bought a passport from a man in London while he was there, and he's going to live life with a new identity, and asked me if I would go on the run with him and live in Thailand. He said he had an army friend who retired and has a property there, and we could run away from all of our problems. I told him, I can't. I have a home here, responsibilities, medical needs, a job. I just can't leave the country on the run. I told Jefferson I'll come and pick him up. Which building are you at? He told me it was a large old building and he was hiding in a storage shed. I told him not to move, I'll come get him. And I hung up as he was speaking, and he tried to call me back, but I started driving. I actually drove to these abandoned buildings a couple of towns over that I knew where he was at based on the picture, and it was a few towns over from mine. It was a short drive. I pulled up at a few parking spots and shined my car lights. I texted Jefferson telling him I'm here in a bright red pickup. He didn't respond. I called and called with no answer, and I waited. Then a bright light shined behind me. It was a white truck that pulled up behind me, and I was scared it was Mark and that they had followed me. It was a man from a security patrol asking what I was doing. I didn't know if he was Mark in disguise or what was going on, or if it was Victor or Mr. Murphy. I was paranoid by this time, so I lied and said that my teenage son and I had an argument and I thought he may have ran away here. The security guy offered to call the police, and I panicked and grabbed my phone. I told him, never mind, my son just texted me. He's home. Stupid kids. And I left. I drove home and told Jefferson that there's a security guy at the building. Jefferson texted back asking what I was doing. Am I crazy? Why did I go there? Then my phone rang. This is part two. I'm going to finish narrating part three and have it out shortly. Keep in mind that this is a little bit different kind of a romance scam story. I've had a couple of stories like this in the past where victims have gotten caught up in these wild just stories. They have a fake doctor, they have a fake army guy, the fake police, and sadly, this does happen. And a lot of these scammers like this are very good at what they do. They'll weave these stories, they'll make fake documents, which is what this scammer did. And he's working with other scammers, probably all in the same house. So stay tuned for part three. If you'd like to share your story, you can drop me an email, scammingscammers@gmail.com, and I will narrate your story into a video.